across this while reading the book of Jonah a while back. Pretty much what ends up happening, for those who don't know Jonah's story, Jonah is called by God. Jonah runs from his calling. Right? That's the general premise of the entire of Jonah's story, is that he's running from God. So what ends up happening that's really, really interesting, he's running from God, and then he gets swallowed by a fish, he's thrown off of sea and everything, and there's something in there, specifically him being thrown over the boat, because he's on the boat. I think it's First Jonah verse 11, where they throw him over the ship. He tells them, "You guys, throw me over the ship," because the storm is getting heavy, the winds are wailing back and forth. Everybody's worried that they're all going to die at this point. So Jonah's like, "Guys, throw me over the boat. That's
I'm the problem.
I know I'm the issue. Throw me over the boat. It's cool." This is what I got from that. So imagine God has called you, right? And you're with a group of people, but you're always hanging out with this group of people. Like, you take a trip with this group of people, and things start to go wrong in your group. If God called you to do something and you're running from him, like, there's a time you can continue running, but one of the most difficult things that took place, at least from my comprehension, was that God was about to destroy the boat with all these people in it. Because Jonah took himself there. And he threw himself over the boat. He was like, "Okay, guys, I'm the problem, throw me over. So you guys can be fine, throw me over." I think, so it says, verse 11, the sea was getting rougher and rougher. So they asked him, "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down?" "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he replied, "and it will be calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you." Instead, the men did their best to row back to land, but they could not, for the sea grew even wilder than before. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man. For you, Lord, have done as you pleased." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men gently feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. All right.
Very noble men.
So they didn't want to do it. And I think that this is very, very important. What people don't understand, if God has called you to do something, don't run from God, and don't run and hide from God in other people. Because you have to listen. We all have to have an idea of what we're always saying. Oh, he will leave the 99 to come after the one. Yeah, he'll go through the people you put around you.
As walls.
He's not playing games. They had to throw Jonah overboard, or they were gonna die. And what's a really important lesson is that sometimes you could be in a group of people, a group of friends, and not realize that, hey, listen, God called you. The devil is not attacking your friend group. You're just not supposed to be in that group. You're not supposed to be on that ship. So you need to either get off, or they need to throw you off. Another thing is this. Some people are holding the person that God called to do something. And you're wondering why they're shaking, why there are issues, why there's friction. You're holding somebody who's meant to do something, and you have no peace because there's a storm. The storm will stop if you throw the guy overboard. It's a very, very difficult thing to really, really grasp. But I remember reading it, and I'm like, oh, snap. These people were all going to die, and Jonah was still going to have to fulfill his calling.
Regardless.
They were all about to die. And he knew he was the problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
So, in light of actually understanding, God, you've called me to do something. It's time for me to like walk away from these people, to move on, to really go and do what I'm supposed to do. You stay, and storms begin inside your little group.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering what's going on. Like, no, God called you to do something. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Don't stay there. He's not going to stop the storm. He'll stop the storm when they throw you overboard.
When they excommunicate you.
So I think that people really need to understand that. And I know, I get it. We want to be with our friends. We want to keep the same group of people. No, that's not a thing. Unless God called you together to do something, don't hold on to things that's not what God called you to do. If God gave you an assignment, don't run from it. And if God told you to do something now, go do it now. Yeah. Jonah's entire story is just him running. Jonah ran in circles. Like, Jonah actually got nowhere.
Yeah, wasted his time because he ended up in the same point where God wanted him. So.
Yeah.
But just to think about it, how, like, it's a pure reflection of our times where people tend to run away. Especially, I've seen people who leave church, guys who are serving in church, and then they leave. And then the next friend group that they have, because they disconnect from everybody that will hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So they join a friend group which has no knowledge of the call of God upon their lives. Because in there, it's easy to just, sail by, it's easy for you to compromise and not be called out. You won't have someone saying, hey, I thought you're a Christian. I thought don't you serve God? Don't you have a church that you attend? Don't you serve a church? I think I saw you somewhere. Yeah. We try to disconnect from everything and everyone who remind us of the call of God upon our lives. So you find we put all these people around us as a wall, but as we've read, when the call comes and you have to respond, because God will stop at nothing to make sure that you fulfill whatever he sent you to do, right? I mean, he was ready to crush a whole ship just to have Jonah return to his call and make sure he goes and does what he was required to do. So I think it's pointless for us to seek, refuge or comfort from people that have no business. Because these are people who have no business. You can tell how indifferent they were to what was happening, to the situation, because Jonah is telling them, hey, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I'm the one that's running away from God. This is happening because of me. But they're like, no, let's try other options. Because they can't see. It took them time to sense that, hey, this is God involved, right? Because they tried to go to the shore. They tried to find, the shore, but it's when the storm increased. That's when they came to the realization that, oh snap, this is actually God that's chasing after this guy. This guy is marked, right? And that's what people we forget all these things because when you're in church and then these things happen, it's usually casual. You take it as a casual, oh, you're marked of God, you're chosen, you've been marked, God has separated you. We like those words. They sound so fancy, right? Been separated, I'm separated of God. Then something happens, God gives you an instruction, you run away, then you join the world. And you think that God has forgotten that you're marked, that you're his. Like, when you surrender your life to Jesus, you say, it's no longer your life. It's not I, but Christ that lives in me. So when you run away, God tracks his DNA. He knows where his DNA is. He knows where his offspring is. So wherever you run, because David said, if I go in the depth of the oceans, you're there. Where can I hide from you? Like, if I go in the mountains, you're there. Like, everywhere you go, right? God will find you. And if he gave you an instruction, you best do it and not involve other people. Because we like to, bunch people up. We like doing things in friend groups. We like company. We like, to have that group of people around us who will walk with us. But remember, the instruction was given to you. No one was there. None of those people were there. You literally found them. He found them on a boat. On a boat. That's why he found them. And he's expecting them to understand whatever is happening? Of course not. So I think it was reckless on his end. I wouldn't want to put myself in that position where I don't want to come off as condescending to Jonah, because I don't know what I would have done if I was in that situation, right? But that's why we need the grace of God to help us discern, because that was a very unnecessary mistake, in my opinion. Because God clearly sent you, just go preach to these people that they may receive salvation, that they may repent. Like, it's that simple. It's not a far-fetched idea. This is something that Jonah was doing before. Like, he had experience, to the point where he felt like these people were unworthy of my time. God is sending you to Nineveh. You feel like, no, these people are they're unworthy. And I think that's where the contention came from, that Jonah had probably a vendetta against these people of Nineveh. And if you draw a parallel between Jonah's time and our time, you find God will send you maybe to a family, to your family that hurt you. He might send you to that uncle who maybe raped you or molested you, and he wants you to go preach to them. And you're like, no, God, I'm not doing that.
Very true.
I'm not doing that. You know what? Because he said, those people are wicked. Like, those people are wicked, right? Which is why he's sending you there. But we run away. And so when you run away, because we have the Spirit of God, he convicts us. That conviction keeps pounding you. So people try to numb it down by distracting themselves with pleasures, with drugs, with alcohol. There's a lot of church people that you'd be amazed the number of church people that are in the world doing all these things simply because God gave them an assignment and they felt they could not handle it.
Not even that. If you're to take a deep dive, one of the things I think that was wrong with Jonah was Jonah didn't fear God. He had an understanding of him, but he didn't fear him. And if you really look at this is what happens with people who don't believe. How they come to God is based off of this. One, you come to God because you met the devil. You had an encounter with evil that is unexplainable. So you're looking for good. You found it through coming to Jesus Christ. That's how you enter the church. The second part is this. You find Jesus because the problems and issues you have in your life are too dire for you to deal with yourself. Third, you find Jesus because somehow you found love. And you've now grasped the concept of it. And you come to know Jesus. Another one is sheer fear. You're fearing, not like just terrified because you saw a scary movie. I mean, you're scared about what's going to happen at the end of your life.
I don't want to go to hell.
All of these things happen. I don't think Jonah genuinely feared God. And so eventually he ends up finding out. He ends up realizing that, even if I run, even if I hide, even if I put people around me, if he wants me in a particular place, I'm going to end up there. And if I don't, I'll be responsible for the demise of others.
A whole city.
And to be fair, the Bible says, the fear of God is the beginning of all understanding, of all wisdom. Some Bibles translate of all knowledge. The fear is the beginning. Put it this way. You can come to church, still be in the world, that's because you don't fear God. You don't fear him. And why should you? He's not beating you. He's not ruining your life.
There's no thunder.
He's not chained you up. You're still free. Technically, you do what you want. You're still free to kill yourself. But the fact that we don't fear him, I'm going to tell you this. All the garbage that's going on in the world, all the nonsense, it's simply because these people don't fear God.
Yeah.
If you feared God, you would not be running up and down the streets on some parade half naked. If you feared God, you wouldn't. A godless society, from my opinion, is this. It just lacks the fear of God.
Yeah, that's true.
If you fear God, even if you haven't, even if you're about to sin, you'd be like, oh my God, man. I'm gonna go to hell. Like that fear will cause you. And people are like, but you don't. Why would I want to live in fear? It will check you. It will remind you that, hey, like all of this, you're going to account for it. The reason why people have fear of not doing something is because there is an aspect of accountability that is ready to hold you to an account of what you've done.
Yeah.
That's what the real fear is. For some people, the real fear is, yo, God destroyed the city for less than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like for less. Like, I think people are not fully aware of how powerful God is, but also how merciful God is. Like God gives you grace after grace after grace after grace after grace. But what if it reaches the point what he called you to do is so crucial and so important to his kingdom that he's like, all right, I'm going to have a whale swallow you.
3 days.
I can't have you do this. I'm going to have a whale come in and swallow you.
Wow.
We can't keep going through this with you. You're going to get on a ship. The whole ship's going down. And I'll still have the whale come get you.
Yeah.
There's only room for one on the whale. People are like, but you know, why would you want a God that does? Well, look at it this way. If Jonah was going to lose souls, he was also going to cost people their lives. Yeah. And he was about to experience that even before still having to complete what God told him to do.
Yeah.
So I think down the line, I don't even say I think, fearing the Lord is also having an understanding of what he is capable of doing in the face of disobedience, blasphemy, anger. That's when you're like, okay, I need to stop this because God is watching me. God still loves me, but I won't survive this. You know? So that's, anyway.